Students, welcome to Chris Academy. Today we'll be dealing with a very important chapter called the Declaration and Payment of Dividend. The speciality of our channel is that the medium of instruction will be entirely in English. This way it will help you to memorize the law language much more easily. Okay, moving on to the chapter. The chapter deals with sections 123 to section 127. The essence of this chapter is dividends. What exactly is a dividend? In general terms, division is the distribution of the profits of a company's profits to its shareholders. And so there are two types of dividends. One is called the interim dividend. The other one is called the final dividend. Interim dividend is declared between two AGMs. The final dividend is declared on an AGM. So this is the difference between the two. There are also different classes of shares. So the shares can be divided into preference shares and equity shares. So equity shareholders, they don't have a fixed percentage of dividends, whereas preference shareholders, they are entitled to a fixed percentage of dividends. And under preference shares, there are two types. One is the cumulative preference shares, the other one is the non-cumulative preference shares. Cumulative preference shares are those shares where even if in a particular year the dividend is not paid, that payment is carried to the next year. Whereas in non-cumulative preference shares, that privilege is not available. That is, if you miss out on the current year's dividends, then it does not carry forward. So this is the significant difference between the two. We know about equity shares, and only after the preference shareholders are satisfied, then equity shareholders will be paid the dividends. Okay, so let us move on to section 123, which is about the declaration of dividends. The section says that the dividends can be declared out of a company's current year's profits after providing depreciation, or out of previous year's profits after providing depreciation, or both, or by any money provided by the central government or a state government for the reason of paying dividends. So this is about the declaration of dividends. Also, a company has the right to transfer a certain percentage of its profits to the reserves account. That is at the discretion of the company, purely at the discretion of the company. Also, if there are no profits or if there is any loss, the company can still declare dividend, but it should follow few rules. And dividend can only be declared out of a company's free reserves. Very important to understand. And before declaring any dividends, if there are losses in the company, if there are any losses faced by a company, it has to be set off against the profits of the company. Only then the dividend can be declared. So there's a rule, Rule 3 of the Companies Rules 2014 states that if there is inadequacy of profits in a year, the company may still declare dividend out of its free reserves, but there are certain conditions to be fulfilled. First one is that the rate of dividend should not exceed the average of the rate of dividend which was declared by it in the 3 years immediately preceding. So the rate of dividend, it shouldn't exceed. It should be less than or equal to the dividend paid in the preceding 3 years. Okay, so this is one rule. Next rule is the amount which is drawn from such accumulated profit should not exceed 1/10 of the sum of its paid up share capital and its free reserves. So before it draws that amount, it should check if it does not exceed 1/10 of the total of the paid up share capital and the free reserves. And this amount that is drawn should first be used to set off the losses of the company, and only then the dividend should be declared. After that, the balance of the reserve should not fall below 15% of the paid up share capital. Paid up share capital. So these are some of the rules pertaining to declaration of dividends when there is inadequate amount. Alright, section 123 subsection 4 states that if the dividend as soon as declared should be deposited in a separate account of a scheduled bank within 5 days of declaration. Okay. However, this section does not apply to a government company or a state government or company held by a state government, or both jointly. Next, section 123 subsection 3 tells us that the board of directors of a company may declare interim dividend during any financial year out of the surplus in the P&L account and out of profits of the financial year in which such interim dividend is sought to be declared. However, in case the company has incurred loss during the current financial year up to the end of the quarter immediately preceding the date of declaration, such dividend shall not be declared at a rate higher than the average dividends declared by the company during the immediately preceding 3 years. And the board of directors, if they declare the interim dividend, such amount should be again likewise deposited in a separate account of a scheduled bank. This is section 123 subsection 3. Now moving on to section 123 subsection 5. Dividends are payable in cash, and it could be either in electronic mode or by check or warrant. And dividend can be paid only to the shareholder or his banker or anybody to his order. Next, if in case it's a Nidhi company, the dividend shall be credited in the member's account within 30 days if the member does not claim the dividend. This is only exclusively for Nidhi companies. And a very important note is, nothing in this subsection shall prohibit the company from capitalizing its profits and issuing fully paid up bonus shares or paying up any amount on unpaid on any shares held by the members. Next, this is section 124 and it deals with unpaid dividend account. Okay, unpaid dividend account is after the company declares dividend, within 30 days the shareholder must have claimed the dividend. If that does not happen, within 7 days from the 30 days expiry, a new account called the unpaid dividend account should be opened in any scheduled bank. After that, within a period of 90 days of transferring that amount to the unpaid dividend account, a statement should be prepared on the names of the shareholders, their addresses, and then it should be placed on the website of the company. And if in case there is a default made in transferring the amount to this account, a very huge interest rate of 12% should be paid on the amount. so this will be used for the benefit of the members of the company. And if there is any person who claims the dividend, then he can claim the money from this unpaid dividend account. So after this, if there is no claim made from until 7 years, then this money should be transferred to the IEPF, the Investor Education and Protection Fund. So let us have a quick recap of what was said in section 124. Within 30 days of declaration of dividend, if the dividend is not claimed, within 7 days, an unpaid dividend account should be opened in any scheduled bank. If that is not done, a heavy interest rate of 12% should be paid on the amount. And after that, within 90 days, a statement on the names of the shareholders, their addresses should be prepared, those who haven't claimed, and that should be put on the website. And after 7 years, if there is no claim made on the amount, that amount should be transferred to the IEPF, that is the Investors Education Protection Fund. Now let us move on into detail, learn in detail about the IEPF. It is dealt with in section 125. So the central government is the foremost authority and it establishes the fund, and the amount which is credited in this account will be used for certain reasons. I'll just list out the reasons. The amounts will be there'll be certain amounts which will be credited to this account, and those amounts are amount given by the central government, donations made by the central government, amount as we dealt with in section 124, the amount of unpaid dividend account, amount of general revenue account of the central government, amount already lying in IEPF, income from investments, amount received through disgorgement or disposal of securities, application money, matured deposits, matured debentures, interest, amount received from sale proceeds, redemption amount, and other amount as prescribed in Rule 3 of the IEPF Authority Rules 2016. So how exactly is the fund received under this section is actually used for? What purposes are these funds used? First, it will be used to refund any unclaimed, refund money to unclaimed dividends, mature deposits, mature debentures, application money due for refund, and other interests on these things. And then promotion of investors' education, awareness and protection, and then distribution of any disgorged amount among eligible and identified applicants for shares or debentures, shareholders, debenture holders or depositors who have suffered losses, and reimbursement of legal expenses incurred in pursuing class actions with under sections 37 and 245 by members or debenture holders or depositors as may be sanctioned by the tribunal, and other purposes. So the fund is handled by a committee. The committee consists of 7 members headed by a chairperson. So this is about the IEPF, and the IEPF fund is audited by the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. They work in close consultation with the CAG. Alright, so next we'll move on to section 126, which will deal with right of dividend, right shares and bonus shares to be held in abeyance pending registration or transfer of shares to the unpaid dividend account unless the company is authorized by the register holder. Okay, so section 127 is the penalty section. If a dividend has been declared and not been paid, then within 30 days, the officers who are party to this punishable act will be jailed for at least 2 years. He will also be liable for 1,000 rupees every day for every day until the default continues, and the company will also be liable to pay a simple interest at the rate of 18%. Okay, but the company will also be given a chance to be heard. So there are few cases where the company will be exempted. So first exemption is where the dividend could not be paid by operation of law, or where a shareholder has been given directions to the company regarding the payment of dividend, but that could not be kept up by the company. That is also communicated to the shareholder. Next, there is a dispute regarding the right to receive the dividend. Next, the dividend has been lawfully adjusted by the company against any sum due to it from the shareholder, or if the failure to pay the dividend was within the period under this section was not due to any default on the part of the company. It was not the company's mistake that this default had happened. So this is about section 127. Thank you. See you again.